morning, Yeti enthusiasts of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, resident ookie spooky girly, and today we're diving into the vast legends of the abominable snowman himself. With the chilly weather starting to move in, it makes sense. Honestly, I can't wait to get home to my heated blanket and a Christmas movie later tonight. Question for you: do you actually believe in the Yeti? Let me know in the comments. And also get excited, folks, because you're never going to believe what famous public figure made his way to today's list. Seriously, I almost spat out my water when I saw it. Speaking of which, welcome to the top 5 unexplained Yeti sightings too real to ignore. Any guesses as to who the public figure is? Number 5. Makulu Base Camp. So in 2019, the Indian Army made headlines when they claimed to have discovered mysterious footprints of the Yeti near the Makulu Base Camp in the northeastern Himalayas. These footprints, measuring 32 by 15 inches, were a first-of-its-kind finding and created quite a buzz. The Army's Additional Directorate General of Public Information, or ADGPI, tweeted images of the footprints, which fueled the oh my goodness gracious. The tweet read, "For the first time, an Indian Army mountaineering expedition team has cited mysterious footprints of the mythical beast Yeti, measuring 32 by 15 inches, close to the Makulu Base Camp on April 9th of 2019. This elusive snowman has only been sighted at Makulu Barun National Park in the past. Were they met with some public ridicule? Sure, but what whistleblower isn't these days? The Yeti, also known as the Abominable Snowman or Asian Bigfoot, is a legendary creature said to inhabit the Himalayas. Yeti sightings and encounters have been part of the Himalayan folklore for decades, with stories dating all the way back to the 1920s. One of the most famous early encounters was by British explorer Eric Shipton in 1951, because while searching for an alternative route to Mount Everest, he stumbled upon Yeti footprints on the Mendiola Glacier, which straddles the Nepal-Tibet border near the Makulu Barun National Park. This discovery further fueled the legend of the Yeti. It's worth noting the Yeti's description varies, but is generally depicted as a large, hairy ape-like creature that stands over 6 feet tall and weighs between 91 to 181 kilograms. The creature's elusiveness has only added to the intrigue surrounding it. In 2008, Japanese climbers returning from a mountain in western Nepal claimed to have seen footprints that they believe belong to the Yeti, adding yet another layer to the ongoing mystery. It's turning into like an onion situation. While the Indian Army's discovery of footprints in 2019 was certainly attention-grabbing, the existence of the Yeti remains shrouded in mystery and debate. The Himalayas, with their rugged terrain and isolated regions, still hold the potential for more secrets to be uncovered. Shall we see? Number 4. A Russian spotting. The footprint for this spotting, which was twice the size of a man's, was spotted close to the Marasu River in the Kemerovo region. It happens to be Russia's main area for Yeti sightings. The more you know. Denis Alexandrov saw the giant's mark as he wandered around his campsite with other folks his age early one morning. He asked his father, Andre, for a camera, saying, "Found an unusual footprint, Dad. Can I just borrow that? Thank you." Now, his dad, Andre, said until that point he hadn't believed in the Yeti, but he changed his mind after inspecting what his son had found. He described the print as being from the ring finger down to the elbow of an adult, or twice the size of his own, but resembling a human foot. That's quite the footprint. Good luck finding shoes for that. Andre has been quoted as saying he's into hunting, so he understands quite a bit about footprints. And when he and his son went to the place where, they spotted the crazy Bigfoot, the only thing Andre could say was, "I now know it exists." The creature must have been very tall, and the edges of the footprint were sharp, which means the creature left the footprint not too long ago. There was also a freshly dug pit nearby. The print was in clay, but thankfully had not been affected by the heavy overnight rain. According to Andre, it seems that the one who left it was walking not long before the men woke up, since nobody had heard any noises during the night. Or maybe they couldn't because of the rain. The father took more pictures of the footprint and pinned the location, which is in the majestic Shorsky National Park, using, good old GPS. I use it all the time. I drive. He explains that he and his son were part of a group of 7 individuals rowing from the Ust-Kabirsa to Shuvashka, and that they arrived at their campsite in the evening and everything went normally. Some of the older folks set up camp while the younger folks had fun, and during the night a strong warm wind blew, and around 1 a.m. it started to rain. But the rain had stopped by morning, so logistically everything's checking out so far. Russia's best-known Yeti hunter, Igor Burtsev, head of the Russian International Center of Hominology, based in the Kemerovo region, has previously estimated that as many as 30 Yetis roam this part of Russia. Apparently, we are on the brink of finding the Yeti at long last, but he said that back in 2011 and it's now 2023, so we shall see. Number 3. Putin Spotting. Yep, in March of 2016, Vladimir Putin, the one and only, and his security people claimed they had observed 3 Russian Yetis while visiting a remote village in Siberia. Honest to goodness, if I hadn't read multiple articles about this with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Not just a Reddit article, I mean actual news sources. Putin, big guy Putin, believes in the Yeti like the rest of us. Dang, maybe I should buy a lottery ticket on my way home today. Environmental rangers and hunters in the remote mountain terrain say the Kremlin leader personally witnessed 3 Yetis, not 1, not 2, but 3, while on a helicopter trip in 2016 to a remote location famous for, claimed sightings of the Russian Almanesty, or wild man as he is known. The rangers went on to explain he and his entourage saw an adult male Yeti and a female one and one smaller young Yeti at a distance of about 150 meters. And this man was with the group at the time, so. The ranger's name is Dimitri, by the way, and he stated that at first the creature stood and just watched us, and then they took big strides and went off into the trees. Briefly, they reappeared again as if curious about the presidential group, who wouldn't be, but then vanished quickly again into the trees and brush. The creatures were covered in thick gray colored hair and took giant steps, far bigger than a man. The sighting is understood to have been confirmed by Putin himself and a security detachment after they inspected the footprints in the newly fallen snow. Now, pictures of the prints were released later on Friday, April 1st by the press service, so once again, we could understand that that was an April Fool's joke, but it wasn't. It's unknown if they were taken by the Prime Minister, a noted photographer who was on the same trip, according to local newspaper reports. But the Yeti family sighting came on President Putin's wildlife visit to Siberia. He was said to be awestruck by the sighting, by the way, and afterwards scientists from the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science were ordered to investigate the discovery. But the Russians will do everything to protect the Yeti and their natural habitat. The president is apparently well known for his exploits to protect Siberian wildlife, including tigers, leopards, polar bears, and along with Pacific whales, but the Yeti find is his most remarkable achievement yet. According to what I researched, on one occasion in 2012, he flew in a hang glider over, Siberia in an attempt to teach white cranes how to fly south to migrate. I'm learning all sorts of things today. My brain feels like it's been, nailed with an Acme hammer, and all of a sudden I'm seeing tiny flying Putins, which is terrifying, so we're moving on. Jeepers. Number 2, a Pakistan Yeti. An expedition led by one of the world's most acclaimed mountaineers to find out once and for all whether the Yeti exists has been thwarted by the Pakistan Bad Guy Group, with a name that starts with T that I cannot say. Once again, folks, interweb rules are rules, so if you need clarification, feel free to ask a kind soul in the comments. The trip to the remote mountains of northern Pakistan was said to have been led by Reinhold Messner, a 7-year-old Italian who was the first person to climb Everest without oxygen and to scale each of the world's tallest 14 peaks. He hoped to gather evidence in support of a theory put forward by Oxford University scientists that the Yeti may be an ancient hybrid of a brown bear and a polar bear. He and his team wanted to capture a wild bear in the mountains of northern Pakistan and take, redness samples and other samples that they could compare with the remains of, Yetis that they've collected over the years. The expedition was supposed to have been conducted in secrecy because of security fears, but the project was revealed by the Austrian press and then has been cancelled out of fear that the news may have reached folks in the wilds of Pakistan. So, according to Mr. Messner, right now everything has been cancelled because people who should not have known about the expedition obviously managed to find out about it, in what was interpreted as, a veiled reference to that group that I cannot mention, whose name starts with a T, but he remains available for this interesting project. He plans to gather that information that, once again, the Yeti might be a hybrid. Who knows what happened, tens of thousands of years ago. All sorts of things happen in the wild. I've seen a lot of dogs that have had babies that really shouldn't have had babies together. Number 1, another Russian spotting. So kind of like the Loch Ness Monster, summer is the usual time for sightings. And in 2019, well-known Tashtagol artist and sculptor Andrei Lyubchenko's claim that he came face to face with an abominable snowman kind of got the attention of quite a few folks. What's more though is the Yeti actually posed for him, allowing the artist to draw his picture on birch bark, and the pair even managed to speak. That's a language I don't know. I just know English and French. According to the artist, it happened so unexpectedly and fast that I had no time to get scared. There was a clear feeling that, this was a thinking creature. I felt he was trying to talk to me. The Yeti was apparently 2.5 meters tall, with thick, dark brown hair like a bear's, but a lot softer. He was holding a wooden stick with bits of hair wrapped around it, but the main thing were his eyes. They were just like light-colored human eyes. So don't look at mine, I'm not a good example. At the time, he was in the remote Kemerovo region, well known as the Russian region with the most Yeti sightings. We mentioned it a couple of times today. It was in the morning of July 27th when Andre went into the taiga to gather materials for wooden sculptures. Apparently he needs a lot of curved and unusually shaped branches and lives right next to the edge of this area. So he left early in the morning, around 5 a.m. and was close to the Chernuka mountain. Andre went out into a small open patch, and it was there that he felt the Yeti's presence. He turned back and saw the Yeti standing up, deep in the woods, not going away and trying to communicate. It happened so unexpectedly and fast that our poor artist had no time to get scared. The body of the Yeti was very toned, with lots of visible muscles. His hands and feet were proportionate to his body, same way as with humans, and his face was expressive too, just like his eyes. The creature also had huge legs. By human sizes, his feet were like size 60. To break it down, this suggests his feet were about 46 centimeters in length, or 18 inches. Andre can't put into words how the duo communicated, and according to him, it felt like they heard each other's thoughts, as if it was like telepathy. There was only one word that the Yeti actually said when asked his name. His voice was low and chesty, and the name sounded as if somebody had hit a tambourine twice. Taban. After the encounter, Andre sought out a local person who spoke, the local Siberian shore language and asked what the meaning of the word was, without explaining where and how he heard it. He was told that there can be several translations, one meaning a soul, and another one meaning the one that wasn't discovered. The artist said he was talking to the Yeti for around 40 minutes, and admitted that he didn't have his phone with a camera on him, or even a camera, but always carries a pencil and something he can draw on because of inspiration. And this time it just so happened to be, birch tree bark. So he made the drawing of the Yeti and showed him, and the Yeti studied it really carefully for a while, and then drew a symbol next to the drawing. And we still don't know what the symbol means. The artist has been going through books and the internet, but has found nothing similar. He thinks it might be a symbol of friendship, but he doesn't think that's correct. If Yetis live so close to people, he was asked by Natalia Guzeva, a journalist, why don't they show themselves to more humans? Andre wonders if they're just scared to intervene, and mentions he's still in a state of shock after his encounter. I guess it was a pure coincidence, or perhaps it happened because I sincerely believed in the Yeti's existence and imagined how one day I'd meet them. He's also been dreaming about meeting them, to be quite honest. He also doesn't think that he's the only person that's met a Yeti. Others simply don't speak about it, greatly fearing they might be called, insane. All he can say about himself is that he is normal as one can find, physically and mentally healthy. He doesn't, consume no juice or anything else. He thinks that one day he'll get back to the place where they've met, and that he'll see the Yeti again. Now, local newspapers have said they've asked about him, and apparently he's a reputable person in the city, quite well known, and certainly isn't seen as a nutter. And hey, that brings us to the end of our time, and heck, maybe I'm the nutter at the end of the day. Who knows anymore? If you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more unexplainable content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.